do.
Richard! Richard, help!
Sean,
Yeah, it's me!
why are you in a sewer?
I was looking for the turtles.
You were as pathetic as you are sad. Now listen to this, because it's a Pod Bros exclusive. I'll go get a ladder.
What's up, everybody? I'm Richard,
And I'm Sean.
and we're speaking the language of bromance. And once again, it is time for bros to become foes.
The line is in the sand.
2 enter, 1 leave. 2 enter, 1 leave.
Wait, we're not fighting to the death, are we?
Yes,
I'm out.
2,400 miles away. It's gonna be a war of words.
You feel that? I'm punching you right now. I just look like I'm doing like a pump fist thing. Like I'm jerking off like a giant.
So you're at so we're fighting, and you're at a rave.
Yeah, basically.
Right on, right on.
All right, so we've done this a few times. It's something that we love to do because it's very thought provoking. So we're gonna have one of our drafts. For this theme is going to be comic book movies. So any movie that has been based off of a comic book is up for grabs. What we've done to determine who gets to go first in this draft. So the rules are essentially it's just like an NFL draft. We have 7 rounds, and we switch back and forth. So the person with the first pick in the first round has the first pick in the second round. We started this way back when we first started our podcast, when we were newbie podcasters. Flipped a coin and I won, so I got to go on the first draft, and we flip flop who gets to go first each time. So this round, Rich will get to lead off with the first pick of this draft.
Right, and I think, are we also stipulating that when it comes to movies, if we pick a hero or if we pick a movie, is that canceling out the franchise?
We haven't talked about that, but that's up to you. I would say, since it's just movies and you're not picking a specific character, if you pick like let's use Jaws. Jaws is a good example. So let's say Jaws is your comic book movie, even though it's not a comic book movie. If you say Jaws, I could say Jaws 2.
Okay, all right,
So you're picking a specific movie.
right on. Okay,
I just want to say that I got to sneak Jaws in a comic book movie draft podcast.
God damn it. Let's just say hypothetically Jaws.
Let's say he's in a comic book.
Sean, we're talking about the economy. I know, but let's say, okay, so the economy is Jaws.
How many Jawses are there?
All right. Round 1, pick 1, falls to me. And for this pick, I mean, it's the one that I would say that this is the one hero that we always fight over when it comes to round 1. So it always ends up being pick 1. My pick, I'm going with Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight.
Now, I am glad to let you have that one. I'm not a huge fan of the trilogy, the Chris Nolan trilogy. But try and sell me on The Dark Knight.
It's got the Batman and Joker. Game, set, and match.
It has a great Joker. I'll give you that.
It has Batman. It has the Joker. I mean, Two-Face is in there, and I mean, not a bad job. But I mean, the Joker is stellar in that movie. I mean, absolutely. I mean, honestly, like it's the Joker that you didn't know you wanted, but you know, but you know you needed.
I love when like that first teaser trailer came up. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I don't remember what movie we went and saw, but they teased it and they had the laugh, and you and I both look at each other. It's like, oh God, it's him from Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
So you go in with this low standard of like what his Joker is going to be like, and you're just blown away when you see it. Like, to me, that's what made the movie.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in it, I probably would have never seen it more than once.
Yeah, I would go with that. Plus, I mean, it's and then you've got Batman, and I mean, whatever, I mean, yes, I understand we have to deal with a growly voice, Christian Bale. It's fine. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying the movie's flawless. All I'm saying is you got Batman and the Joker. and it couldn't be more perfect for me.
The time Joker's on the screen, I'm absolutely in love with that movie. But this movie does what I hate what a lot of comic book movies do is like you have Two-Face, like he's a good villain, but he's only really Two-Face for like 10 minutes in the movie, then he dies.
Right.
I just hate how these universes are built on this big thing. Like it's a big universe. Like this spans decades.
Honestly, for me, the movie could have done without Two-Face. I mean, I understand the themes that the movie was playing on, and that and the role he played in them. It's just to me that movie is about how it's about what Batman stands for and what also the Joker stands for, I guess.
Yeah.
And how what happens when these two polar opposites collide.
I always wonder with that movie too, if he would have still, if he didn't pass away, like if there was, he had to have been built into that third movie somehow. You can't tell me that they didn't have an idea for him.
Oh, I know. It had to.
Because I mean, you left him alive. You had the great line of "It's like you and I are going to do this dance for a lifetime," or however he
Right.
said that.
I think you and I are gonna do this forever.
And the new comic book I'm reading, or the new Batman series I'm reading, kind of builds into that Joker Batman like relationship. It was the death. I think it's Death of a Family, where it talks essentially that Bruce Wayne goes into Arkham Asylum as Bruce Wayne, and he goes into the Joker's cell and talks to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, at that moment, I realized the Joker didn't care who Batman was. He didn't want to know who was under the cowl. Like, he was just wanting to do this dance for a lifetime.
Right. And that's the thing. That's why the Joker that's why the Joker won't kill Batman. I mean, we all know why Batman won't kill the Joker, but you never really figured out why the Joker won't kill Batman. Because, I mean, he's a smart guy. I'm sure, he probably has figured it out.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But he doesn't make that leap into actually taking Batman out. It's always this, I'll make it hard, but I'll try, but I'm not trying. That's the way it always seemed to me.
I think the other line from that comic that really fills that too is like Batman's talking about like how the Joker's eyes never dilate, so he can't get a read on him. Like anybody else, he can get a read just from their pupils. And then like at the end, he's talking about, it's like, I guess something happened with him. He's like, just remind yourself that he's just a man, Bruce. He's just a man, and remind yourself that what you saw in his pupil, what that was, it wasn't love.
Right.
So essentially, it's saying like Joker has a love for Batman, like in this eternal dance that they have. So you think that's a first round pick kind of movie?
I mean, for me, it is. I mean, I would say that Batman Begins, it's kind of set the stage. To me, Batman Begins was a great first act, and that kind of set the stage for what The Dark Knight was. And to me, I think that movie kind of encapsulated the entire franchise. I mean, that's what, I think that movie established not so much who Batman was. We figured that out in the first movie, but I think The Dark Knight shows what Batman means and what he stands for.
Yeah, I can't ever really explain what that trilogy did for me, but I guess it just kind of left me like an empty feeling. Like I felt like it just could have been so much more. And I don't know if I can't really put my finger on why, but it just feels like I just feel kind of like really hollow with the story. Like I just feel like there was something that it could have been just more, I guess.
Right. So there we go. First round, I have taken Batman. Your move, sir.
All right. So, let's see.
Oh, gee. Whatever shall this be?
Was Jaws a comic book movie?
Oh, God damn it. I'm sure there's a Jaws comic book somewhere.
7 picks, all Jaws. There was no Jaws 7. I'm going to go with a newer movie. I'm gonna try my best not to make this Marvel centric, but maybe this is just one that I've most recently seen and absolutely loved. But I'm gonna go with the one that kind of seemed to surprise a lot of people. Was a real big success, but I'm gonna go with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. I honestly, out of considering that Marvel right now has been untouched, it's surprising that you would go with that one. But okay, I'm down because I mean, I would say Guardians of the Galaxy is a movie that I didn't have high hopes for. I mean, you read the comic and you're like, there's a fucking raccoon in this
Yeah.
comic. There's a raccoon and a giant tree.
Well, I think any movie that can start out with, basically just making you want to cry because his mom passes away and it's just this huge event in this kid's life. And then in the next instant, you're laughing at him dancing, talking into this like weird fuzzy animal using it as a mic.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, you don't see that a lot of times in these kind of comic book movies, but you really fell in love with the characters right away and they all had their own personalities. And on top of that, it was a great story.
It was a good story, and they kept it kind of light. I mean, the humor's peppered in there, and it fits. When they're all sitting around trying to figure out a plan of how to get out of the prison.
Yeah, Groot just decides to.
Yeah. Now the last thing we should do.
Going
to get the prosthetic leg.
Yeah. All right, and the last thing we're gonna need is that guy's eye. We don't need your eye. Yes, we do. That was a character that I didn't think I would love as much as I did.
I know, right?
Bradley Cooper killed it.
He did. He really did. Vin Diesel was Groot.
Oh yeah,
I am
But, I mean,
Groot.
that movie was such an emotional. Like you're crying, you're laughing. There's a little bit of not really fear, but a little bit. And then right back to the roller coaster, you're crying and then you're laughing and then ends on a high note.
It does.
It was just a well written movie, I think.
It exceeded my expectations by far. And I mean, granted, my expectations, I didn't have high hopes for this movie, but it really nailed it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Star-Lord walking around with that mixtape with that fucking cassette. Oh, just awesome. The music was good.
Oh, yeah, the music.
Oh, the music was so good.
That. And then you just just all the late 80s references.
Who didn't, after that movie, who didn't go and find the soundtrack Awesome Mix Volume 1 and automatically add that to your fucking playlist?
I think didn't it get number one on
it
the
was,
charts?
Yeah,
or
I
something?
think it was like a number one selling soundtrack for like 3 weeks straight.
But yeah, maybe a little premature for a first round pick, but I'm gonna go with my first round pick. I'm gonna go with Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm actually, this is gonna be kind of a gamble for me because I am a self-confessed Marvel fanboy, especially with the cinematic universe, but I'm not going with it, at least for the first few. I'm gonna keep it away for right now.
All right.
I'm going with a very well-known movie, but it was from a while back. Not a lot of people remember it was based on a comic, but it was. It was a really great comic. I'm going with, for my second pick, from the year 1994, I'm going with The Crow.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
Ah!
I was not sure if you would have remembered that was based off of a comic.
Oh, but it was, and I remembered. That was the first R-rated movie I ever went to.
That is a movie that if it's on at any point in time, I will sit down and watch the entire
I know,
thing.
right? You walk past and you see that's on the TV, you just kind of stop and you're like, it's like Braveheart. Braveheart does that too to me. Like I walk by, I'm like, oh, and then 3 hours of my life are gone.
But I mean, not only with the whole Brandon Lee thing, like you kind of have emotional ties to it there, but I mean, it's a very timeless movie. I mean, you can't really tell it. I mean, it seems very early 90s, but I mean, you watch it today and it seems to fit.
So good. So good. It really is it is a dark superhero movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? He's like, it's. I guess it's kind of like Ghost Rider in the sense that it's like the spirit of vengeance, you know. But you know what I mean? He has his, you know, he's running around. He's got his makeup. He's got his coat. That fucking bird playing with the guitar.
Yeah,
and,
gets up on the top of the roof, just strings out some awesome chords. You know, and just one day, I wish it would stop raining.
It can't rain all the time.
Eric?
So good.
Did you see many of the sequels or anything like that?
I will say this about the sequel, okay? And in 1994, The Crow was a movie that was kind of out there. I guess it was considered kind of an alternative kind of movie, you know, for that wide a release. But it, you know, I mean, like I said, it was considered kind of out there, kind of on the fringe in terms of like the visuals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I think I can't put my finger on it, but I'm pretty sure it was Ministry that was playing at one point in the club they were in. So I mean, that kind of that harder edge kind of music, you know, like Ministry or Nine Inch Nails and stuff like that. I mean, Stone Temple Pilots had a really big hit off the soundtrack. To me, I felt like they took those elements, they saw those elements, and they kind of went a bit too far with the next one, City of Angels. It seemed like they tried to make it too out there, too on the fringe.
Gotcha. Kind of outthink what they did.
Right. And it just kind of came off like you were saying, like they were trying too hard to be different.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've read. I used to get the newer comics. The guy that created it still puts out like arcs of comics. So they're like 8 to 12 issue runs, and they're all very different stories. There's been a handful of those that have been pretty interesting. One is like he bases it in Japan, and this corporation has essentially found ways to transfer their souls into other bodies. And so this guy's girlfriend has that happen to him, and he goes to try and like rescue her, but they kill him because he's going to expose him, basically.
Okay.
And so he becomes the Crow. So it's like this thing that goes from soul to soul, who like just has this huge hole in their heart and need to, you know, seek vengeance on the evil of the world.
Huh. I have seen at one point, there was a long time ago, I saw a script that Rob Zombie had written.
Ah, yeah, you told me about that.
For The Crow, where it was a little kid whose parents got killed, and then he ended up, I want to say, with amnesia or something. I don't remember how it happened. But 25 years later, he's a bounty hunter, and these memories come flooding back, and then he gets, you know, embodied with the spirit of the Crow, and then he goes on like this killing rampage, I mean, it was a fucking awesome idea.
Whatever, just studios didn't pick it up.
Yeah,
or was it too violent for the time?
studio just didn't pick it up.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, I think this was pre House of a Thousand Corpses. It might have been, or right around when that came out. I don't remember.
So he was still fairly fresh on the scene of creating a movie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a really, really good pick. I actually didn't pick it first because I thought that was going to slip through. So my strategery kind of backfired on that one.
Mwah ha ha.
All right. Well, so I'm gonna Crow. Okay, I'm a little flustered right now.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna go with this is a movie that I actually saw on TBS the first time. I didn't even get to see it in theaters. It has been credited with actually bringing back the comic book movie.
Oh, I know what this is.
I'm gonna go with the Wesley Snipes movie, Blade.
Oh, so good.
That's that's a movie that like the vampire stuff was not real big at that point. It might have been semi big. I mean, it never goes away. But
yeah, vampire stuff never goes away. It wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, nobody knew about that comic, and it's like here's this Marvel movie, Blade.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
I love that fucking comic. He didn't even have his own comic at one point. He was just with the Night Stalkers. It was him and Hannibal King, and I can't even remember the third guy's name, but it was three guys, and they were the Night Stalkers.
As good as that movie was, I haven't seen them reboot that comic either. Like, I think that would be one that a lot of people legitimately be interested
Yeah,
in.
probably.
I think Marvel has just recently got the rights back to that movie.
They did. They just recently did. I actually heard they were developing a series for Netflix.
Oh, that would get. If they did that, I'd buy Netflix. So Blade 1 was awesome, like a great idea. Blade 2 was pretty decent.
Blade 2
3
was
was,
a great. Blade 2 was a good sequel. I really liked that sequel.
And did you ever watch the TV show?
No.
So the guy who played Blade in the TV show was a little rough, but the story behind the story that was in there was really good because he really didn't have a huge part in it. It was more focused on this girl and like these factions of vampires.
Okay.
So that was really, really cool. I heard, I can't remember what the guy's name is. It's the kind of fatter comedian. He's very, very liberal comedian. He was in the third Blade. Fuck, I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
Anyway, he was doing an interview and he was talking about how terrible it was he's like, Blade 3 is the best movie ever made because of all the shit they had to go through to make it. So apparently Wesley Snipes, while he was on set, would go into his trailer, smoke a shit ton of weed, and whenever he came out, he only wanted to be called Blade. That's the only thing he would answer to was Blade.
Awesome. That's fucking epic.
So he just kind of went on this tangent about how like terrible it was. Like it was just the worst experience of his life. But that being said, the first Blade is probably one of my favorite comic book movies and my second round pick.
Nice. All right. So let's see. We're going with number 3. I feel like these are going fairly smooth.
Yeah, so far I haven't. The only one that I wouldn't agree with is The Dark Knight, but that's just because of my prejudice against Christian Nolan.
Nolan. See,
Nolan.
you can't even say his name right.
I know.
You son of a bitch. All right. Round 3. I guess I should. I'm gonna start dipping into. I'll dip my toe in the Marvel pool. I feel like the Avengers is the obvious pick, but you know what? I'm not going there.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with just one man. It's very recent. I'm going with Captain America: The Winter Soldier. No, nothing.
No, I was just thinking. It's like before you even have to say anything, I know what one you're gonna pick.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because it's like you're talking the Crow. I'm like, he's gonna say the Crow. One's like, oh, I'm going with one man. It's gonna be Captain America: Winter Soldier. That's it. It's interesting with Captain America's. After I saw Thor 2, I was kind of like, these one-offs, like, because Thor 2 wasn't that great. It was all right.
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't. I agree. It wasn't stellar, but it was all right.
And so I kind of went into Captain America thinking like, okay, it's gonna be it's worth $10. You know, there's nothing else. Like, I'm not really expecting a lot, and it just blew me out of the water. Like, it was a great. Like, I could watch that movie on my own whenever I want. It feels like that kind of movie.
I would agree. It was so well done. It was, and it not only is it well done. Chris Evans did amazing.
Oh yeah,
so good. The fight scenes were good. And honestly, to me it seems like Marvel takes their heroes and kind of makes. It's almost like they make genre movies.
Oh yeah,
with their superheroes. To me, Captain America: The Winter Soldier was like a spy thriller.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, you had these clandestine things going on. You had these secret organizations. You had all this other shit, and you had these very punchy fight scenes, and
that elevator scene.
Oh my god,
awesome.
So good.
All right, before we start this, does anybody want to step out?
I mean, but beyond that, the fact the ripples that movie causes, you feel in other places. I mean, I would say that The Winter Soldier kind of sets the it not only completely turns upside down a TV show in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, that movie basically flipped that show 180 degrees. Not only was that a good Marvel movie, but it also turned a show into a great Marvel show.
Well, it's like all that stuff was kind of like, it could be very status quo. Like the water was calming. Like they could have just kind of drifted down the water, drifted down the lake, drifted down the river. But then they throw this big boulder, which is Captain America Winter Soldier, just create this huge ripple effect. And it's like, no, we're changing everything.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect.
Exactly.
After, like, Bucky played a huge part in that. Like, that was just awesome. Like, that character is just...
And you didn't
just gonna be
realize...
awesome.
And the thing was, is you didn't realize until the movie came out, holy shit, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has spent the last 3 months setting up this fucking movie.
I know.
What the fuck?
What other, like, that's never been done before.
Exactly. So good. And, I mean... Like it's again, it takes another kind of lesser known hero in the Falcon, and like amp that up. Like the Falcon was awesome.
That was a great story. Like how he is the Falcon.
Yeah,
and everything.
Black Widow did
awesome.
so. Black Widow was
yeah.
great. I mean,
why doesn't she have her own movie?
I don't know.
Scarlett Johansson, like I saw that new one she was in.
Ever since the Avengers, people are like, "Where's the fucking Black Widow movie?"
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's coming after Captain Marvel.
Like, I mean, people are actually like, where, why is this not happening?
I wonder if she's just signed on for just not enough, and like it's at that point where to give her own feature, just like astronomical number, like to get her to do that.
Possibly.
That's the only thing I could think of. Or they're waiting to put her in one of the later phases.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, so let's see. What else? What else can I say about this movie? You've got the ripple effect into other movies. And honestly, I would say the Captain America The Winter Soldier sets the stage for Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Because you have like I said, like you have this lack of protection from S.H.I.E.L.D. You have, these threats, these nonstop coming threats for the planet at large. And so Tony Stark, in his wisdom, decides to create Ultron as a way to kind of bridge the gap or kind of fill the gap.
Well, I think you're going to see that throughout a bunch because even obviously the third one's going to build off that, but that really pushes the Civil War storyline. So you have the Age of Ultron, which is built because of them needing something to help protect them, and then Civil War, whatever they're fighting over, it's going to be based off of those last couple films.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you don't. I mean, the fact that you can take a movie and have it. I mean, because it's a sequel to it's a sequel to a movie to. It's a sequel to a movie that was kind of meant to set up another movie. So, I mean, honestly, nobody really expected, like, these big monumental paradigm shifts that came out of this movie. But there they are. So, yeah. So there's my pick. Captain America, The Winter Soldier, round 3.
It's a good flick.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I'm going to dive into Gotham as well, which I just saw a post on Reddit which it says once you see this you'll never get to unsee it, and what they did is they underlined got and underlined ham, and so essentially every time you see Gotham you're going to see got ham. But I'm going to dive into a cartoon movie of Batman. This is a two-parter, so I don't know if that would really count as one. It really feels like it should count as one.
It should. I'll say it counts. I'll say it counts as one.
I'm going to go with Batman The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, that is a really, really... I actually watched this under your recommendation. I knew about it, but I just, for some reason, one reason or another, you get busy or whatever, just didn't get a chance to pick it up. I finally sat down and I rented. I went to the actual video store. Yes, they still exist. I went to a store and got the physical discs of part 1 and 2 and watched them back to back. I had to watch them back to back. It was like The Godfather. Like, you can't watch fucking one without. I was like, I need to know what the fuck happens.
I mean, it's the first half of it's kind of like, okay, it's all right, but it just builds into that, and then it's like, well, now the Joker's there.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it's Frank Miller. He's done lot of great stuff. I really wish I could get the comic book and probably check that out. 'Cause I'm sure that would be
Frank Miller,
awesome.
I would say, kind of like, I mean, all those guys. You got Frank Miller, Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil. I mean, those guys really brought Batman out of that kind of cartoony kind of, like what we all kind of grew up on, that Adam West, 60s Batman, and really brought it into the Dark Knight detective kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, so good.
Well, I actually almost kind of forgot about this until I sat and thought about it, because there's the whole incident with the Joker breaking his own neck, and until I kind of remembered it, like I thought that was like the end of the movie, but then there's a whole like another subset of movie with Superman
Yeah. Yeah.
and the whole him fighting, Batman and Superman fighting each other. You have Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, helping him out in that instance too.
Yeah.
And I mean, essentially, this is building up to like the Superman versus Batman movie. They said they're kind of going to build off of this, but just a great like tie into all the questions you have about Batman and Superman, and his interactions with the Joker, and just all this stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, and also you have like, I mean, at the end you have that whole kind of, it's almost like he establishes a legacy for himself.
He gets that gang, and they're going to be
Right.
the Knights of Batman, or whatever, or the Knights of the Bat, or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I didn't know anything about it when I saw it, and spoilers again. But obviously, if you're listening to this, that you should need to be prepared for spoilers.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know if we should put a disclaimer on that right from the get-go, but I mean, what the fuck? We're doing comic book movies, obviously. We're going to talk about them a little bit.
But so like when he died, like I essentially thought he was actually dead. And there's like the instant Superman's walking away, and you're like, okay, he's really dead. And with Superman's super strong hearing, he hears thump thump, thump thump.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't kill Batman.
You can't kill Batman, you son of a bitch!
So that is my my third round pick, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns.
Good one.
That feels like a very 80s movie too, because they did a lot with the Cold War and everything in there.
Yeah, they did. All right, let's see. Round four. Okay. This one might be kind of surprising, because I don't know. There's been a few of these, and I'm going with one for one reason, and I'll explain in a minute. But my 4 pick, I'm going with The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one.
The reboot, right?
The reboot. Not
Okay.
not the sequel, the reboot where it's just him and the Lizard.
Okay.
To me, it was it goes into the I feel like this one ties in way closer to the comic than the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire series.
Yeah, the Sam Raimi was very campy. It was, you had a fucking dance scene.
Oh Jesus! Don't get me started on Spider-Man 3.
But I mean, like, you had a great actor in the Amazing Spider-Man. Like, he was, like, you've always talked about it. He was kind of your smart alecky Spider-Man.
And there's my reason, because I had my wisecracking Spider-Man finally.
Oh God, not a knife! No, you found my one weakness.
It's small knives. So good. And they kept it really simple. It was just him and one villain.
Yeah.
It was him and the Lizard, and that was it. Like, you didn't need like this big fucking overreaching thing. You didn't need 3 villains in the fucking movie. It's just him and the Lizard, and you have his story getting established, and that takes up time, and I totally get that. And then you just have him and one villain, and that's it. Like, keep it simple. Like,
yeah, it worked really well.
And it does,
I mean,
and it works well. Great job, great acting, great visuals. I love, like I said, I love the fact that he was actually smart enough to build his own fucking web shooters, as opposed to actually having it come out of him.
Well, it's because I think you explained it to me one time too. It's like Peter Parker's like, he's a really intelligent guy. just him having those spider senses and everything is kind of added on to that.
Right.
And so it's nice to see him actually be able to use that for some reason.
Exactly. I mean, to me, like, having Spider-Man being able to like just shoot web out of his own body, and then have all these abilities, to me, that takes away from Peter Parker. That Peter Parker himself has shit he brings to the table, and that these two personalities are actually help each other, and that like it isn't. I mean, to me, it's kind of like in a sense, it's almost like Batman. Like Batman and Bruce Wayne, while separate things, one helps the other.
Oh yeah.
Bruce Wayne helps Batman, and Batman helps Bruce Wayne.
Well, it's kind of, I've seen the thing. It's like you take away, like Iron Man. You take away Iron Man's money and his suit, and you have just a smart guy.
Right.
You know, Bruce Wayne. You take away his money, his suits. You have a super intelligent guy who knows karate.
Right.
You know, Spider-Man's kind of the same thing. Is like I guess it'd be more like Iron Man. So you take away all his power. He already didn't have any money, but you still have a smart guy.
Exactly. I mean, you take away Spider-Man's powers. He still is fairly intelligent. Like if he loses his powers, he's still got his fucking web shooters.
Yeah, exactly.
And he still has a brain, you know? So yeah,
Did you see the Amazing Spider-Man 2?
I have not.
Okay. It's pretty rough. They did the kind of thing where they bring in way too many villains.
It seems like that's the MO with Spider-Man.
Yeah. They tried to set it up for this big thing, and I think that's kind of fallen out. But the first one I loved. Like, I know a lot of people always get pissed off about, like, well, they just finished it. Why are they starting a new one? It's like, who cares?
Right? Yeah, like people kind of do this bitching thing with Batman too. They're like, we just had fucking 3 Batman movies. Why do we need Batman? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not see someone else fucking try it out?
As many Batmans as we can get between Batman and Robin, the happier I will be.
Right? Oh my god. Oh. So that wasn't your next pick?
No, my 4th round pick is Batman Forever.
Oh.
Of course.
Right.
Which, I will say Batman Forever, I was at the right age. I was like 11 when that came out. So it was right up my alley as an 11-year-old boy. I mean, it worked fine. Except Jim Carrey and his jumper outfit. That was a little too much.
I just recently saw an interview with Jim Carrey where he was like, Tommy Lee Jones fucking hated me.
I heard that, yeah. I didn't read it or anything.
Me.
I just saw the headline.
Hated me for that entire movie.
Must have been fun.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, so there you go. For my that's what I'm going with. I'm going with the Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay. My 4th round pick. I think we've mentioned this guy a few times. His rights actually have just reverted back to Marvel, so we're very Marvel centric on these. But I mean, they've just put out a shit ton of great movies recently too.
That's true.
I'm gonna go with. I think this was really not really at the big point of a lot of comic book movies. I can't remember where this one came out, but I'm gonna go with Thomas Jane's Punisher.
Oh, all right.
This is one of those too. Like, it seems like I can catch it just about anywhere, and I really enjoy it.
Are we going? Okay, there's been a couple Punishers. Is this the one with John Travolta in it?
Yeah, this one,
Okay.
the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the one with the dude from Rocky, or not the newest one.
Yeah, I can't think of that one either. I was just clarifying, I guess.
Yeah, because it's a good. I mean, it's real gritty. Like, it seems based more in reality. Like, you could believe this guy existed.
Yeah.
I'm always a big Thomas Jane fan. I think he's done a great job as an actor, especially in this one. He even had a fan film called Dirty Laundry, which is basically The Punisher. It's like a 10-minute short film. Really, really cool. But it's one of those, like, now that this is reverted back, he's still a little bit old. I think he's still in shape. To have him kind of pull that off as an older Punisher,
Yeah.
I think that would be really, really sweet.
I mean, I was never really big into the Punisher. I mean, I had a couple comics with him in it, and I mean, I don't know. I think it was just a bit too gritty for me at 11 or 12. It's not that the subject matter went over my head. I was just kind of uninterested.
I mean, it's a comic book character that actually, like, I mean, he kills people.
Right.
He doesn't pull any punches. He kills people.
Yes, he does.
And in large quantities.
Yes, he does.
But that was my first exposure to the Punisher, was that movie. It just kind of caught my attention. It's one of those that it was like a big TBS or TNT. I think they had the rights to it, so it was on like all the time. So it's one of those you could flip on the TV, and sure enough, you'd be catching it. The first part of it or the end of it.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first DVDs I ever bought. So 4th round, I'm going to go with the Punisher.
Not bad. Not bad. Let's see. All right. Well, if we're going with DC animated movies, I'm gonna go for my next round pick. I'm gonna go with some of the best voice acting in the land. I'm going with for round 5. I'm going with Justice League Doom.
Yeah, you've told me about this one, but I haven't actually seen it yet.
This one is great movie. What this one is Vandal Savage, and working to start up the Legion of Doom. Basically, he contracts Mirror Master to hide in the Batmobile, in the rearview mirror of the Batmobile, and then once Batman's out of the cave, then Mirror Master comes out, hacks the Bat computer with tech from Vandal Savage, and downloads a detailed plan of how to dispatch every single member of the Justice League.
I kind of wonder, so Batman wasn't smart enough to have some type of technology to identify that happened?
Well, once he realized what was once he saw the plan, the Flash is like, hey, this is happening to me. As soon as Batman hears that's what's happening, he knows exactly what happened.
Gotcha.
He actually helps talk the Flash through how to get out of his own trap.
Okay. So he had contingencies on his traps.
Well, no, not really that. He just thought he was like, this is the only way you're going to be able to pull this off.
Gotcha. Is this a heavy Batman-centric movie, or is it
no,
just like
no, it focuses on every single member.
Okay.
I would say that probably the hero of that story though would probably be Cyborg. Cyborg is kind of the one that works, that kind of helps, he kind of ends up being the hero of the day, I would say. But you have the voice acting, and you have Kevin Conroy as Batman, which
nice.
Whenever
yeah.
you read a Batman comic, everybody pictures Kevin Conroy's voice. You have Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern.
Awesome.
Right? It's the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. You have all the other voices that you remember from the Justice League cartoon. Those are your voices for this movie. Like I said, aside from Green Lantern, in Green Lantern you have oh crap, I can't think of his name. I can't think of the current Green Lantern. But Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern for this one.
Is this about an hour and a half? Is it a 2-hour movie, or how long is it?
I'm not sure on the running time. I want to say it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that.
Okay.
Really, really, really good. You have, like I said, you have Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. You got all the original members of the Justice League. My favorite scene, probably out of the whole thing, is when the League is sitting down after they've all escaped their death traps and everything else, and they're like, how did this happen? And Batman's like, well, somebody hacked the Bat computer and downloaded the plans I had in order to incapacitate each one of you. They also changed them that they would actually kill you, rather than mine would have just incapacitated you. And then they're like, you had a plan on how to take out each and every one of us. And then they all get pissed at him, and they're like, well, we'd never do that to you. We don't have a plan for you. And he's like, well, then you're all idiots.
Yeah. Batman out.
Right? That's what I was just waiting for him to just throw his grapple gun on the drop his grapple gun, like Batman out.
Peeks back in. He's like, "You can't stop Batman, bitches." Yeah, that's one I definitely want to check out at some point.
They had Bane take out Batman. Bane took out Batman. Metallo was for Superman. Star Sapphire was for their Lantern. I can't remember who was for Wonder Woman.
So why is it that Bane's always the one to take out Batman?
I don't know. I think it's because Bane is. I would say that out of the Batman in the Batman comics, I would say that Bane's the one that actually has like a power. I mean, Mr. Freeze has his suit and his gun and everything, and you got Poison Ivy with the plants. But I mean, Bane's got. I mean, he hits that button. Bane's got super strength,
And he's super intelligent too.
right? And so, I mean, you can. I mean, Batman, while super smart, while full of gadgets, bat suit and everything else. I mean, when Bane hits you, you're still a fucking dude.
Yeah. That's always interesting. Like there's all these villains that Batman has, and they all seem somewhat relatively like could be based in reality. But then you have like Clayface,
Right.
who's like just a clay guy who can turn into anything.
Yeah.
I always hate when they bring him into the comics or in anything.
Yeah. There was an episode of the Superman animated series where Brainiac kidnaps and I think he hypnotizes or brainwashes or something Bruce Wayne. And so Robin comes to Superman to help him figure out like what the fuck's going on with Bruce. And in the process, Superman puts on the Batsuit to basically
Okay.
give the impression that Batman's still around.
Uh-huh.
And so Superman fights Bane at one point, and so like Bane hits his venom and like gets all fucking crazy buff and punches Batman, and then all of a sudden like Superman just fucking like clocks him one, and then Bane's like, "What the fuck?"
That's awesome. That I think that needs to be like put into the new DC Justice League movie setup they're gonna do.
There we go.
Like,
I want Superman in a bat suit.
I mean, that's essentially the Hulk punching Thor kind of moment. You can just see the crowd erupting right then. All right, so fifth pick, Justice League Doom.
Justice League Doom.
I love how DC seems to own the cartoon realm.
They really do. I mean, I will say that the Ultimate Avengers 1 and 2 were really good. The animated ones that Marvel did.
Don't think I've seen any of those, but I definitely need to get caught up on a lot of those as well. So my fifth pick, this is, I can't remember what comic book this is based, or I know the name of it, but I don't know what company this comic book comes from. But this is one that came out, I want to say in the mid 2000s. They still have the comic running now. They always say based on a graphic novel, so I don't know what year this was published, but it's based in a nice little town in Alaska.
Oh.
Where for one full month there is no sunlight. I'm gonna go with the great vampire movie, 30 Days of Night.
Ooh. Great premise for a story.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes complete sense.
It really does. And like you hear it and they're like, why has no one done that before?
Yeah. I love the character that's kind of their follower who comes in first to kill all the dogs and do all the things so people can't get away.
Right.
I think he was in The Punisher too, actually, but he's been in a lot of cool movies. Actually, I think he was in Lone Survivor too, if I remember right. He's one of the characters in there. But like you go in there with that great idea and like, they're just going around killing everybody. You get scared because they're hiding in these houses without any, heat, so they're freezing in these attics.
Yeah.
Just a great movie.
Yeah.
And the ending. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, they also had the lead up. What was it? 30 Days. What was it? Darkest Days.
Yeah, wasn't it like a
It was a
motion comic?
no. It was like a really short web series that they had
Okay.
that came out. I think they put them out on FearNet. It was like just little. It was like a little like 5-part web series, but they were in New Orleans, and it was basically these people that were that by the end of it they discovered this plan that all these vampires were going to Nome, Alaska. At the end of it, I mean, it was really, really well thought out.
Yeah, it's kind of like it almost seems like the vampires had the same idea. It's like, wait a minute, there's no sunlight up there for a month.
Yeah.
Why haven't we done this yet?
Yeah, exactly.
It's isolated. There's no way in or out. Nobody leaves. And it seems like, because I didn't know anything about the movie when I went and saw it. And so it's this buildup of like, they're just killing everybody. And in my mind, it's like, oh, if you guys just survive, you can tell everybody. And at the end, they like let all that gas out and they light everything on fire. And they're like, oh shit, they're going to make sure nobody knows about this. And they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Such a cool concept. So my fifth pick, I'm going to go with the horror comic 30 Days a Night.
All right. Let's see. There we go. All right. This one is one that probably set the it jump started the career of a director who's done a lot now in the comic book universe. At the time, not really that well known. Also helped establish the career of a what I think is actually a decent actor. I'm going with Zack Snyder's 300.
Great movie.
So good. You had, I mean, honestly, I would kind of put it on the line with like something like Conan the Barbarian, where it was like it's that man movie, like it's that movie that you watch when like you watch it and as soon as you're done, you want to like eat raw meat and like
lift as much weight as possible.
Right, and then go to your woman and be like, "Woman, ravage her."
Go out and kill some like deer and make sweet love on it with your lady.
Right, exactly. This is your man movie.
That was one of the first ones that used that kind of cinematography too, where it was like that comic book background and
where it was very it was stylized and it had its own kind of visual approach where like they do like it would like speed up and then slow down.
Yeah, all the blood spurts going everywhere.
Yeah.
It's one of those that, like, you knew when you were going to see that movie that you were seeing like some kind of like you were seeing something original.
Yeah.
Like this is not your everyday, because you could have easily made that just like any other 300 style male movie, but they took a different approach to it, and I think they hit it out of the ballpark. I think it was amazing.
Yeah, totally agree.
I can't believe I didn't have that one on my list. 300. So did you end up seeing that one in theaters?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did.
Didn't we go see that on a game day, or is that something else we saw? I feel like I saw that with all the guys.
That might have been Watchmen.
Okay.
Maybe. All right.
So 6th round pick. There's a couple lingering that I'm surprised that are, but they almost feel like cheating to take them.
There's one lingering that I am really, really surprised that you haven't taken. Like really.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with this one.
All right.
So this is I'm gonna say I didn't even really realize that this was based on a comic until I got a little older, because I, of course, was exposed to the cartoon at such a young age. This was a movie that got passed on by a lot of major motion companies and was actually done independently. Jim Henson helped out with some of the puppetry on this one.
Oh.
And I believe after it was released, he was upset that he helped because of the violence in it.
Oh.
I am going to go with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
How is this not your pick one?
Well, see, I know I always feel like you let those go a little further than they should.
I've been sitting here staring at it. I'm like, where is he with this? What the hell?
But the bad thing is I worked myself into a corner because there's like 4 movies that I think I should pick before this one still on my board.
Yeah.
But this is one, I mean, as a kid, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was pretty decent for that time period. I mean, 91, 92 time frame. Good storyline.
I actually just watched Secret of the Ooze a couple nights ago by myself. I don't know why.
Does it still seem to hold up? It's been a bit since I've seen them.
Actually, a lot more than I thought it would.
Okay. Yeah, I think the last one I watched, not counting the new one or the TMNT one, but I watched the third one like 3 or 4 years ago just to see if it was as bad as I remembered.
Okay.
I mean, it's not great, but it's all right.
Yeah.
But the original I think holds up. It's cool that they actually, I mean, because it's really a comic book movie. It's pretty much straight from the comics. Shredder's, this badass gang leader kind of thing. He's not, some weird scientist or whatever else these new movies try to do. Were you a big Turtles fan when you were about that age?
I really love the comic, or I really loved the show. Went from there to the comic, and then went from the comic to the movie.
So you did read the comic then when you were younger?
Yeah, and it seemed like the movie kind of like, it seemed like they actually did a decent job of trying to kind of meld both those worlds together, make it like, kind of geared towards kids, but not in a kiddie way, I would say.
They didn't try to, because like with the new one, it seems like they couldn't figure out if they wanted it to be dark or straight for kids. So you kind of have issues battling that. But with this one, I think they stuck more towards the darkness of like that kind of thing, like made it that gritty. But
yeah,
you throw in like April O'Neil and some pizza jokes and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my 6th round pick. I'm gonna go with the original Ninja Turtles movie.
Well, like I said, I'm surprised this wasn't pick 1, but like I said, I've been staring at it I was like, no. I was like, don't be that asshole. Don't be that asshole.
Well, see, that's what I get is like you feel bad because that's why you can't let the bromance get into it, because you feel like I can't do that to my friend. Fuck that. I'm gonna take whatever's there. The bad thing is that like Jaws, I think in one of our drafts you let it slip, and I didn't even pick it because there's a bunch of other movies that I wanted to hold on to, so it falls off the board.
So sad. All right, well, I guess if we're going with the obvious choice, we're at 6. Is this 6?
No, this is 7.
We're on
this is
7.
your
Final?
This is your money shot.
The
pick.
money shot. Oh, the money shot. Well, then, if we're going with the money shot, I mean, I have to go with the comic book movie that has, I would say, defined the term comic book movie. I'm going with the Avengers.
You have to go with the Avengers.
I have to go with the Avengers.
I don't know how many people this has got into comics, but I know this is what got me into comics.
I mean, it's the comic book movie. I would say it's more of a comic book movie than any movie we've mentioned thus far.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's pulled right from the pages. It's written by a guy who loved comic books. It's perfect for this kind of draft.
It really is. I mean, it's the quintessential comic book movie.
It's such a comic book movie that it almost feels too bad to pick so early on because it's such an obvious choice.
Exactly. That's why I had to save it for the end. But I mean, like the thing with that movie is that, I mean, there's bits in that movie where you feel like it's pulled, like just where the camera's placed and where the characters are placed. Like it seems like they just pull it right out of the fucking page.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm just waiting for like speech bubbles to appear over their heads.
Well, like the scene where Hulk punches Thor. I mean, that feels like something you would see in a comic
exactly.
book. Like, that little chuckle pan.
Or yeah, even like like Thor or not Thor, the Hulk with Loki.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like that whole bit, like I just felt like they just pulled that right off the fucking page.
Oh. How many times did you see that in theaters?
At least twice.
Okay. Yeah, I went and saw it twice for sure.
Because I think it came out, might have been 3 times, because I think I saw it at midnight, did a midnight show, and then it came out like right around my birthday, so I think I went and saw it again on my birthday.
So you did go see the midnight showing on that one?
I did.
Nice. That had to have been awesome.
It really was. They had, everybody in costume, and they laugh at the funny parts, and yeah.
I think I saw that the day after. I mean, it was still pretty packed, but yeah, a a midnight showing that would be awesome to be at.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see what a midnight show for Age of Ultron's gonna be. I'm sure that's gonna be fucking insane.
Are you planning on going to one?
Probably.
All right, well that's pretty much the icing on the cake. So I don't know if I can really improve on that much. But I'm gonna go with. It seems like we got a lot of Batman movies in here, but I'm gonna have to go with this one. It was. I'm trying to remember if I saw this before Batman '66 as a kid, or I feel like this has to be my first introduction to the actual Dark Knight. I'm gonna go with the 1989 Batman.
Tim Burton's Batman.
Yep. Like I said, I didn't really know a lot of people that were into comics, so this kind of franchise, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin.
This ain't your fucking mama's Batman. This ain't daddy's Batman.
It's like, this is how the Batman's supposed to be. This is Dark Knight shit.
Dark Knight. He's gritty.
I kind of like. I mean, it gives you that comic booky feel with the city being kind of weird and kind of just almost fake.
Yeah.
Like one of the quintessential, like when you think of Joker, you think of Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Good flick. I really enjoyed it.
It was.
And still do, and it still holds up. I think.
I would say the first one, yeah, for the most part holds up. Jack Nicholson was a great Joker. Michael Keaton, I felt like he was kind of lacking as Bruce Wayne, but I thought he was I thought he was a great Batman. I thought he played Batman really well.
And see, that's what kind of ruined. Like, I think it was you that brought that up. But that's what kind of ruined Bruce Wayne for me, because I envisioned him as like the, kind of, brooding kind of person, like basically Batman, just without the cowl. So then when I saw, I don't remember if it was Batman Begins or which one it was, when Christian Bale's swimming in that fountain.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of like, oh, that's not Bruce Wayne.
Oh, that's so Bruce Wayne. I would say probably the best Bruce Wayne performance I've seen thus far. Christian Bale, I thought was decent at both. I mean, I think he had the physicality for Batman, and he kind of had the attitude for Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I agree.
Val Kilmer, I thought, was a really good Bruce Wayne, not a great Batman.
I really think that we're missing out, though. I think George Clooney was probably the best of both.
We can't be friends anymore.
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember how much of that movie I saw, but I went back to check it out like years later, because you always hear people. At least it didn't talk like a butler. Mr. Wayne.
No, they just had Batman talk like him.
That's true.
Pull the trigger! Pull the trigger!
So yeah, I don't know. I'll consider maybe a few sprinkles on the cake. I'm gonna go with the 1989 Tim Burton Batman.
That's if I didn't pick The Dark Knight, I would have picked that. I gotta say.
That's the thing that's always kind of interesting when they bring that up is like Tim Burton never even read comics really.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of went with what he thought Batman was, which is okay to me, I think. It's interesting if that would have bombed, what would have happened to that Batman series, because Batman Returns was pretty good. I know Batman Forever, they wanted to make it as dark as the other two, but they did a last minute change because they're worried they're going to lose the kids, and because of parents not wanting them to see it.
Right.
So that's why they changed it to the lightheartedness.
Yeah. Well, now I'm curious, what did you not pick?
I don't have a ton left on here. So kind of the obvious, the newer ones. I had Iron Man.
I also had Iron Man.
X-Men: Days of Future Past.
I went with First Class.
Oh, okay. First Class I watched on a laptop, so I don't know if that kind of what hurt me on that one. But one that is not really surprising, but I went with Sin City 2. Not Sin City the second one, but Sin City the original.
Yeah. Sin City. I kind of went in that same route. I went with Watchmen. I wasn't that big a fan of the Watchmen, like the movie. I loved the comic. Honestly, to me, the Watchmen movie, I think, was just too late to the party. Like, I think that movie would have been, if I would have killed to have seen that movie in like the 90s.
Yeah, it's such a period piece. I mean, because when I went in there and watched it, like I didn't really live through the Cold War, so I didn't really get a lot of that. But I think if you had lived through that, and like especially if it was just right after all that stuff had kind of settled down,
Right.
I think that would just have like a completely different feel to it.
Well, and also I think it is. I mean, to me, The Watchmen, for me, kind of the comic kind of established the thought that maybe superheroes aren't perfect.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Maybe they are just people, and they're possibly guilty of the same fallacies that other people are.
That post Silver Age where like, hands on your hips, chest out,
right.
I'm a,
Right.
superhero kind of thing. Well, I'm going to run through a quick recap. So Rich's draft looks like this. So he's got the Dark Knight, the Crow, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Amazing Spider-Man, Justice League Doom, 300, and Avengers. On my plate, I've got Guardians, Blade, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, Punisher, 30 Days a Night, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Batman.
I like how you had to make sure you put the original bit in there.
Yeah, there's no way I would associate the newest one with a comic book movie at all. I heard I'm gonna give credit to he's a YouTube guy. His name's it's the Black Nerd. He was talking about the new cartoon and how like they pulled from the comic book. He's like, oh well, the original movie pulled from the comic book. I wish some other movies pulled from the comic book. But that is our comic book movie draft.
I honestly feel like this is my strongest one ever.
Yeah, yours is pretty good. This is definitely a little bit not my strong suit, especially when it comes to like the cartoon version of these. I've only seen a handful of them.
I'll tell you what I'm curious. I'm curious to see like if people would have picked something else. Like usually when we put out these draft episodes, we'll get a response like, "Hey, what about this one? What about this one?" I'm curious to see if there's ones that maybe that we might have missed.
I think there's got to be, or especially some like I don't want to see like somebody say, "Hey, you didn't think about this movie," and be like, "Oh shit, I didn't even realize that was a comic book."
Yeah,
and go out and pick it up. And what's going to be cool is like if you think about if we did another one of these in like 5 years, it could be a completely different.
Oh, it
draft.
totally could. It totally could.
So yeah, if you want to shoot us an email or give us a tweet on Twitter about who we missed or who you think your team would be,
A terrific
give us a
tweet
shout-out.
on Twitter.
How many tweets would a tweet if a tweet could tweet?
Good.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
All right, well I'm gonna do a little bit of housekeeping if that's all right. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at languageofbro. You can email us at languageofbromance@gmail.com. Our website is languageofbromance.com. Like us on Facebook, leave us a comment, and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher.
And also listen to us and leave a review with our lovely, lovely new host.
Pod Bros Network.
Because we're bros and they're bros, and it's a bromance with
It's a bro union.
yes.
It's a brunion. You said listen to us, and like I envision somebody's like, okay, they listen to our intro, they skip the rest of it. It's like I just want to listen to the housekeeping part.
I love this. This is my favorite part.
Quiet. You'd rather doing the housekeeping. Wait for it.
Guys, shut up.
All right. Well, you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, because my list speaks for itself.
That's true.
Batman out.
All right. Well, that's all the bromance we have for this show. I'm Sean.
And I'm Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver.
Eat the beaver.